going to solve some inequalities here. I think it's a good idea before you solve inequalities to go back. If you look at the right here, I have a link for solving equations, just to kind of refresh. Essentially, it's the same thing. There's a difference here and there, but essentially our goal is going to remain the same. We want to get the variable all by itself. All right. So I have two examples here. Let's look at them. So the first one here, I have 3y plus 5 is less than or equal to 47. Now, the first thing I want to do, again, when we solve equations, we usually use reverse order of operations. So here, if you notice here, I have a multiplication and I have addition. When we think of order of operations, multiplication comes first and then addition. But when we solve equations, a lot of times we'll do that in reverse. So we'll get rid of this addition first, and we'll get rid of that addition by subtracting. We're going to subtract 5 and subtract 5 over here. All right, now positive 5 minus 5 leaves me with 0. On this left side, I'm just left with a 3y. I'll bring down my inequality symbol, and then 47 minus 5 gives me 42. All right, now to get rid of this times 3, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 3. All right, 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, so I'm left with 1y. And I'll bring down an inequality symbol, and I have 42 divided by 3, which gives me 14. So that means to make this inequality true, y has to be less than or equal to 14. All right, so I'm going to try two things here. I'm going to take this equation, I'm going to rewrite it. This inequality, I'm going to rewrite it 2 times. All right, so here's one, and here's the other. So what I want to do first is I'm going to put something in here that will work. All right, so y has to be less than or equal to 14. So let's just say y was equal to 10. Let's plug that in. So 3 times 10 plus 5. Well, 3 times 10 is 30, and 30 plus 5 gives us 35, which is indeed less than 47. All right, but let's just say we chose a number that was not less than 14 or equal to 14. Let's say we chose 20. Well, 3 times 20 plus 5. So 3 times 20 is 60, plus 5 is 65, and 65 is not less than or equal to 47. All right, so this one here on the left is not true, okay? So that's just showing you that y, in this case, unlike an equation, y or x or n is a certain number. Or for an inequality, it could be an infinite amount of numbers. So in this case, to make this inequality true, we could choose any number as long as it's less than or equal to 14. All right. On this left side here, I have another equation, another inequality. And in this inequality, we have variables on both sides. We have constant numbers on both sides. So our goal is we want to get the variables to one side. So I'm going to choose to put the variables on the right side. So what I have to do is I have to get rid of this negative 4y. And to do that, I'm just going to add a 4y. All right, now if I add it to this side, I have to add it to this side. Now when I do, these cancel out, and I'm left with negative 16 is greater than negative y plus 39. All right, because negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1, so I have a negative 1y. All right, now, again, I'm all right with a variable over here, but I want to get rid of this constant. So I'm going to subtract this. I'm going to subtract it from this side as well. These cancel out. I'm left with a negative 45 is greater than a negative y. And this is really the biggest difference between inequalities and equations. All right, so first of all, I don't want a negative y. I want y. All right, so I have two options here. Now remember, there's a 1. Even though you don't see it, there's a 1 in front of this y. So what I could do is I could divide both sides of this inequality by a negative 1. So if I divide this by negative 1 and divide this by negative 1, well, negative 1, okay, I'll just put the 1 there just so you see it, but negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives us y, and negative 45 divided by negative 1 gives us a positive 45. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Now, but when I do this, when I divide both sides of this inequality by a negative, I have to switch the sign. So this greater than sign has become a less than sign. I'm going to explain that in just a moment. But the other option that we could have done here, I'm going to go back to the same thing. Negative 45 is greater than negative y, what I could have done is I could have just multiplied both sides of this inequality by a negative 1. So I multiply this side by negative 1, this becomes 45. And if I multiply this side by negative 1, well, negative 1 times negative 1y is just is positive y. Okay, and again, I have to switch the sign to this. Now, just a quick explanation as to why I'm switching the sign. If we come up here and we look at these two numbers, 20 and 10, all right? Now, obviously, 20 is greater than 10, right? But let's just say I go ahead and I divide this 20 by a negative 2. I'm going to end up with negative 10. Now, if I divide this 10 by the same negative 2, I wind up with negative 5. Now, we can't place the same inequality symbol in there because it wouldn't be true, because negative 5 is greater than negative 10. I know that sounds kind of funny, but if you think about the number line here, I'll just draw it right down here. If you think about the number line, if we have a 0 here, and we start counting backwards, we're going to get to negative 5 here, and then negative 10 will be here. Now on a number line, the farther left you go, the smaller the number is. So up here, negative 5 is greater than negative 10. So anytime when you are working with an inequality and you have to divide both sides of the inequality by a negative, or multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative, you've got to then change the inequality symbol from greater than to less than, from less than to greater than, less than or equal to greater than greater than or equal to, whatever it might be. You just have to change it the opposite way. All right? So that's how you solve inequalities. I'm going to post another video with some other inequalities that have parentheses and things like that on there as well. Thank you very much for watching.